Welcome, everyone, to Stay in Your Lane podcast. I'm your host, John Maley, brought to you by Triple T Transport. Today's guests, I know this is going to be a first one or a second one for me. I think Joe Lombardo is the only person that would fall under the C word that we've had on our podcast. And, you know, the C word for us is consultants. We've got a special couple of gentlemen here. We've got two of the three. We also are going to be missing Mike Deller, but I'd like to introduce you to Scott Allen and Todd Miles. They're with Criterion Supply Solutions. And gentlemen, say hi.
Hello.
Morning.
All right. They both fit a different role for Criterion, but the reason why we're having them on today is so that many of our shippers can understand that we understand more than transportation, and that the supply solutions and the business model that Criterion runs under here is different than most that you'll find, and it's pretty refreshing. So at this point in time, I'm gonna pass you off to Todd Miles. Todd, help our viewers understand your business model and what value you bring and how you operate.
Good, good. Well, thanks very much for the opportunity to speak with your viewers. We're really a procurement services and value engineering group. And what we really do is, the elevator pitch should be, we help companies reduce costs without laying people off. And how do we do that? What we'll do is come in and do a spend analysis with our clients, and we'll look at the last 12 months of spend and ingredients, packaging, indirect spend. And then from there, we'll analyze that and pick out selected categories where we feel that we can add value to reduce their costs in those categories. And we do that by utilizing our past experiences, knowledge that we've developed over 35 to 40 years. The gray hairs are here, and we've earned them. But we do that through should cost modeling also, of really understanding what's the cost, what are the driving economic factors for that category, discuss with their suppliers directly, utilizing our should cost modeling to reduce their costs. We've been in some of the sweet spots areas that we look at. We really focus on the food, pet food, consumer products industries. We focus on middle market and private equity groups. Probably our sweet spot is anybody that's got 20 million in revenue to probably 400 or 500 million in revenue and have 2 to 4 to 5 production plants from that perspective. And we really focus on the smaller companies and middle market companies because one, the Nestle's, the Mars's, the Crafts of the world have their own staffs and people that can do this. But really, when you get to the smaller companies, the people in the procurement groups and operations group, they wear a lot of different hats. Plus, they're stretched many different ways on a daily basis, and really, a lot of times they can't just they can't take a look and do it strategically. They're more tactical. Just you got a marketing person screaming for samples. You got operations screaming for product. You've got R&D wanting to get a new product in to test. And these people are more tactical just to get those operations, and they really don't have the time to step back and take a strategic look at what they're procuring and how a strategic sourcing program can be put together to leverage that. Another area we also focus on is private equity groups because they get our business model. Our business model is a gain share. That's nothing new out there, but the way we approach it is in a different manner. The way we approach it over a duration of time, after the actual savings are there, we get paid on a monthly basis on actual shipments from that perspective. And usually it goes minimum is 12 months, maximum 24, depending upon the category turnover, et cetera. From that perspective, as we go along, the client is saving money on actual shipments by line item SKU. And if they don't have shipments in a month, well, they didn't save anything. So we don't get a portion of that savings that they've saved that month. So we're 100% skin in the game. Also, too, it's going back to the football analogy, we got to put points on the scoreboard for us to get compensated, and that's what we do, and that's the only way we will ever do it from going forward. So another area we do too is, if we do have multiple companies that are not competitors, and say they've got corrugated packaging. What we can do there is also take these multiple companies and do a collaborative buy program to leverage 3 or 4 companies' volume and leverage that in the industry and utilizing our should cost modeling. So we've done that. We do that quite often with our clients where they're not a competitor against each other from that perspective. So it's a little bit different, unique skill sets that we have that we feel, our competitors don't have that type of skill set within their people who are utilizing, and it's really real life experiences and proven results.
How did you come up with this?
The one thing I'll add, Todd would also sweep the warehouse if it would add value to it. So I think I've seen him do that one time or another. The way the company was founded is I worked and oversaw procurement for several food companies. HCA Heinz Company oversaw it globally. And many times I would, my boss, who was the chairman of the company, as well as others, would bring consultants in to save us money. And every time I sat with the consulting firms that were out there, none of them had ever written a purchase order. None of them had ever worked in a purchasing department. They were fantastic at putting together business plans and making presentations, PowerPoint presentations, and selling it within the companies. So when that happened, you would get handed the opportunity working with their junior folks because they would end up flying out of town. I went through that concept several times, be it with the Heinz Company, also with Nestle, where I oversaw procurement there also, and knew there was a better way. And it was really based on bringing people in that had worked in procurement, that were strategic sourcing people themselves, that understood should cost modeling, that understood value to the customer that people could relate to, but only work on a gain share basis, which was you only get rewarded if you show results and you stay and implement those results. You don't leave town after presenting or even negotiating those results in. I served on a board of a packaging company called Innopac. And as an aside, we talked about the view I had, the image as far as going forward, the business plan. I put together a business plan and financials. And make a long story short, the three of them ended up funding the company. They believed in it so much, and they became our partners. Todd, at that time, I was holding him back. He was down at Smithfield. And when we founded the company, which was what, Todd, 2012?
Yeah. Yep.
Time flies. Todd came in as our managing director to run the company. And so today that business model still holds case as far as we have support people, of course, for him and everything too. But Todd runs the company. We meet on a quarterly basis, if not sooner, and drive the company from that standpoint. And it is truly based. They truly bought into the program as far as operating from a results-based gain share basis, and it's operated from that standpoint. Since then, we've had great results.
Well, and that's why you came highly recommended. There's some similarities between how we operate and how you operate, and I think it comes with a commitment to bringing value.
It does. It absolutely
Right.
does. The best compliment we get as far as showing value, we believe it. They're excited. The amount of dollars that come to some of the companies and everything. What we really know that we've done a great job is within the food industry, especially the consumer packaged good industries, we see people that move in leadership roles from company to company over periods of time, especially with private equity. And you've done well when those leaders, those CEOs, COOs, bring you back into the company that they're now running. And we have that, Todd, we have it on a consistent basis, don't we?
Yes, we do. Consistent. Yep.
Yeah.
There's always growing pains, and the growing pains are solved by a prioritization schedule, right? I mean, you if you're running the company, you've got 15 things that are the priority, and you're going to divide and conquer and figure out what's number 1 through 15. And sometimes what you guys are looking at is the 15 to 25 that if there's no blood, there's no foul, right? and then you come in and say, you know, there's a better way to do this.
John, the other thing that's really different, and remind me to tell you a story about Todd when we were younger, when his Nestle technical days. But what another difference here is we find, whether it's corrugated packaging, whether it's flexible film, whether it's sweeteners, we're in the market conducting negotiations every 6 months, once a year, every 3 months. In those categories for food companies, for consumer packaged good industries, that happens once every 3 to 5 years. So not only are we in the market, and I should say also, it can happen on an annual basis too, but a lot of times those are just based on adjustment mechanisms in contracts. So we're actually in the market with several different companies using should cost modeling to where we actually understand really where the market's at and where it should be. And when we do the assessments, we can tell right away if there's opportunity not within the company. So I would say, Todd, that probably separates out us from a lot of folks out there.
It does. And along with that, if we're doing, say, multiple year agreements for our clients, if it's a 3-year agreement, we're going to be with that client for 3 years to make sure, if there are any price changes with the mechanisms we set up, there's no margin creep occurring. They're, attending to and doing price change properly. And if there's new items, because always, the supplier will come in and be real aggressive on the current business and then use margin creep on new items that come out. We're there to assist to make sure that margin creep doesn't happen over that duration of time. And that's still part of our gain share percentage that we receive. We just don't walk away after that's done. We're fully committed to them to make sure it's operating properly. And we had one case with one large client of ours where we did look at the new items that came out with corrugated, and it was about 6 months after the supply transition went on, and we clawed back $865,000 with the margin creep that we went through with the new items that came out. They were disadvantaged by 865 from the way we set it up and agreed to in regards to pricing levels it should be, and that was clawed back for the client. So we also that's another value added where if you're dealing with other consulting groups, once they get your payment, it's like, who are you again? They're gone.
So you need longer term commitments, and it sounds like you work the longer term commitment and maybe the shorter term reviewing from a pricing structure perspective, and stay tied to it. And then after the fact is where after the savings are there and they're realizing the savings is where you guys get compensation. You normally, in most jobs, you don't normally get paid until the job is done. And for most, it's situational, or there's a lot of turnover from the people at the lower level doing the work from the consulting companies. So we had Jimmy for 6 months. Now we got Joe. Next 6 months to a year, we got Mikey, and there is no consistency.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Thank you both for the time and for sharing with us what's different about Criterion and what value you bring. We're going to share this with all of our viewers. I'd love to hear. I'm a broker. I'm the B word, right? We're in the brokerage business, but we operate with a higher level of integrity and a business model much different than our competitors also. So we totally can relate to where you're coming from and what's the difference. So thank you for sharing it with us. Thank you for being on. We look forward to working together in the future, and when opportunities arise, we're going to share them with you, and hopefully you share them.
Not a problem. We appreciate the assistance.
John, it's been great getting to know you.